All righty, let's get started. I have a lot I'm going to go through today. Hopefully, I will answer all of your questions. And then when I am done, I'll be here to answer any questions that you might have. So let's go ahead and get started. We have 51 people, it looks like, on board. We had over 80 register, but a lot of times people register knowing that we'll send a copy of this, which is important to repeat. We are recording this. Once it is uploaded to YouTube, we will send everybody an email that will have a link to this. We started right on the hour, so if there's something you want to revisit, just kind of make a note of the time. And then you can just fast forward to that. I think most of you here have been to a webinar before, so pretty straightforward. So let's get started. Guess I have to go here to do it. Okay, three things. We mentioned this a couple of times for the people who've been on previous signature groups. We do this for all of our groups. Keep in mind, everybody on the ship is going to be a MOAA member or a MOAA guest. One of the most fun, awesome, great things about this cruise is basically, as I've said repeatedly, I'm sure people have heard me say it before, is everyone you meet on this cruise is just a friend you've never met before. We have people who meet on signature groups, meet on future signature groups, travel together. It's just a great opportunity. But there are 180 people in our group. That's a lot of names to remember. So we do lanyards and name tags for everybody. They are two-sided. It is very difficult for us, maybe impossible, to reprint name tags once we're on the ship. That basically, goes to Atlas. We go to them and make a request. They may or not be able to accommodate that. So please, if instead of Jonathan, you want John on your name tag, let us know now. It can be a nickname. It can be, your middle name, whatever it is. Just let us know. The name tags basically have two things on them. They have your first name and your last name. And so just, the first name is in like a 72-point font or something like that. So it's easy to read. So please let us know so everybody calls you the name you want to be called. That's very easy enough to think. A lot of times you're going to meet people that you want to stay in contact after the cruise. So we do the passenger manifest. It's also helpful on board because trust me, I've done enough of these that you'll be there and it's like, last night I had dinner. They were from Iowa. I can't remember their name. The passenger manifests are going to have names. It will list the name on the name tags. So, for example, for me, it won't be Jonathan Brenneman. It'll be John Brenneman. It has my mailing address. A lot of times people are interested in knowing where people are from. And then email address, right? Is that what's on there? Yeah, email address. So let us know. We only can include you on that manifest if you give us permission. No requirement to do it whatsoever, but something you should consider. And then the last thing is, Atlas has told me they still have a number of people that they have not had register. Not only does it make the embarkation process quicker, but you want the cruise line to have your flight schedule and your passport information for sure, just in case of an emergency. That's important to have that information on hand. Okay, hopefully everyone will put my cell phone number in your devices now. I will actually be getting into Athens. I am the escort for this. I think most people know that. I'm getting into Athens early. So I will actually be on board the ship when everyone comes on board. So my plan is to greet everyone as they come on board. There are some times when a group of people come all at once and it's difficult to say hi to everybody, but that is my goal, to welcome every one of you individually on board as you come on the ship. If you have any issues, the most common ones we have are going to be flight delays or an issue with your luggage. Please reach out to me on my cell phone. A lot of times people ask about cell phone usage. I think it's different depending on who your carrier is. I can tell you I have international on my phone, which is Verizon, and I pay $20, excuse me, $20 for a 24-hour period. So if Monday at noon I use my phone, it triggers the international plan. I'm charged $20 on my monthly bill, and I can use my phone for either data or making calls or texting or whatever it is for 24 hours. So it would expire at noon on Tuesday. I don't know, depending on what plan you have with Verizon or who your self service it is, but it's definitely something you should look into is what the international dialing is. Been working a lot with Atlas, and they have agreed that I'm going to have, they don't want me to call it a desk, but I will have a table in Paula's pantry. And we talked about a lot of different locations, but I think this is the best place for me to post up. It is on deck four, just outside the dining room. And what I try to do is be there at breakfast time, lunchtime, and dinner time for sure. So some lunches you may not be on board the ship because you're doing excursions, but in the morning when you get up, go to breakfast, you should walk by me at Paula's Pantry. I'm outside, or if you want to come find me. Same thing for lunch, same thing for dinner. Mostly before dinner. At some point, when everybody appears to be in for dinner, I'll join everybody for dinner. We are lucky. We do have a couple of MOAA hosts from their headquarters in Alexandria who are going to be on board. Doug Sanders and April Vogel. I'll let them tell you more about themselves on board, but we're delighted that they are there. It's your opportunity to interact with people that work at national headquarters, either share your ideas or hear what the association's doing in the future. So, key to this is put my cell phone in your phone. And if you need me around lunch, breakfast, or dinner, come see me at Paul's Pantry. Okay. I just threw this in there. I don't know why when I was putting it together. Paul Pantry is a great place. I think most of you are going to end up being there most days, if not every day. It's the place you go, grab a coffee, grab a roll or a muffin or whatever it would be. It's a great place. I've sailed on the Navigator once, and literally it is kind of like a central hub to it. It's all the different coffees and stuff. Starbucks, but elevated Starbucks, we'll just say that. And of course, everything is complimentary there. Okay. The bad news, some of you may have seen this email from Atlas already. This is industry-wide. Greece basically came out and implemented this just July 1st. They call it a cruise passenger disembarkation fee, but myself and a lot of you have cruised before kind of think it's disembarkation is the day you get off the ship, right? You embark in this port, you do your cruise, and at the end of the cruise, you disembark at this port. The way Greece is doing this is every time you get off the ship is considered a disembarkation. And you can see there, they charge €20 per passenger if you disembark in Santorini and Mykonos. We disembark in both of those. Every other Greek port, including Athens, when we disembark the ship at the end of the cruise, is a €5 passenger fee. That comes to €65. If you go through and count the ports of calls that we're going to, the Navigator is a cashless society, so you don't spend any cash on board. Anything you were to get on board, spa treatment, or if you do laundry service or purchase shore excursions, all those go on your onboard account. That's in US dollars, so they converted it to US dollars, which is $71. That is $71 per person that is going to be on your onboard account, and that money goes directly to Greece. And not to be too critical, but it seems to be a money grab. It is unfortunate that they didn't implement it for July 1st of 2026. I think that's more likely, if the US did something like that, that's the way we would have implemented it. But it is what it is. So unfortunate news. But it's $71, and I guess we're supporting Greece in their chance to balance their budget. Who knows? Okay, we had a couple of questions about this. ITIS, it is not a visa. In fact, it is basically designed for countries like the US or Canada or the other ones that do not require a visa to go to Europe to like kind of register with them. It's been delayed numerous times. I think if you heard me talk last year, they were supposed to implement it like second or third quarter this year. It has now been pushed back again to the last quarter of 2026. So even though Greece would be a country that would be considered part of this, you do not need to worry about this. It is not required. A number of people have asked, probably because we've been talking about it for 2 years now, that this is coming, and it just keeps getting pushed down the road. So to be clear, you do not need to register. You do not need this for your cruise. You won't need it for any other cruises you go on. The soonest now this will be rolled out would be fourth quarter of 2026. It's only €7. If you're over the age 70, they waive it for you and it's valid for 3 years. So anyway, that's that. Okay, now the type of questions we always get on this is the dress code. When we do these MOAA signature groups and we have the entire ship, we have a lot of flexibility in what we do for attire. Because basically we have the whole ship, so we could say, well, our group doesn't want to do that. So it is very relaxed on board. You can read through this real quick, but basically wear whatever you are comfortable wearing. They ask at dinner time that people don't come up, I'll just be ridiculous in Speedos or tank tops or something like that. Never had that issue with any of these groups we've done. So just whatever you're comfortable in. Keep in mind the ship is air conditioned. We all know it's going to be warm when we're off the ship or outside. But keep in mind a lot of times, if you are one of those people who tends to get cold, they have the air conditioning going on high. So maybe, it sounds almost counterintuitive, but maybe bring a light sweater or a light jacket or something like that to wear at dinner if it's cold in the dining room. No formal nights. I'm going to talk more about kind of the exclusive things that we put together for this trip to try making it as fun as possible. We do have a couple of theme nights, so it seemed to make sense to mention under the dress code, but I'll get to those in just a minute. Laundry service. People ask about this. There is no self-service laundry on the Navigator. They do not do any dry cleaning. They do have laundry services available. It's typically what you'd see in a hotel where they have a list, and a shirt's 3 and socks are 1 or whatever that pricing is. And you fill out the form and you put it in the sack or the bag or whatever with the form, and then they launder and fold your items and bring them back to you. If you're in a suite, they do have like service available. The length of our cruise, I think it's once, it may be twice that they have the free laundry service for you. But at the very end, I have some tips. I probably should have put this on the tips page, but I thought it was more appropriate here. At some point during our cruise, they will announce that they have a special and it's $39.99. And basically, you can put as much as you want in that bag. Stuff it as full as you can. They wash everything, fold everything, and bring it back for $40. I just want to bring that up because you don't want to be the person who sends out a few items, on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you find out that you could have spent less and spent more stuff. So don't know the date that will be. I don't know if they'll share that with me when I get on the ship. I'm certainly going to try finding out. That's kind of up to the ship. But just know when you're packing, it's at some point in the middle of the cruise, depending on which day works best for the ship based on the itinerary, they'll have that. So it almost gives you the opportunity to pack less, knowing that halfway through, the kind of stuff that you don't want to, the type of stuff you don't want to bring extra of, that those types of things can be washed midway through if you want, obviously not required. Okay, a few other things about the ship, questions that come up. Beverages, hopefully everyone knows all the beverages are included. I did want to mention that if you are off the ship and you do a winery tour, or there's something you want to try, you can purchase wine, bring it back on board. You can have it in your room. You can bring it to dinner. There is no corkage fee whatsoever. So if you're out during the day, you go to a winery, you buy a bottle of wine, you can bring it to dinner that evening. The sommelier will serve it to you, no fee whatsoever. Just know that that's a possibility. People ask about outlets. The rooms do have outlets for both US and European Type C, and there's a USB port. I think, I can't speak to all cabins, but I think most cabins have two US, two European, and one or two USB ports. So depending on how many devices you're going to plug in, you may not need to bring an adapter. If you have like your cell phone and your laptop, so you only have two things to plug in, or your cell phone can use USB. But if you want to bring an adapter because you have more things to plug in, you can bring the Type C European adapters. Um, there is one thing I wanted to mention because somebody asked it. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was about sorry, I have to look this one up so I read it correctly. Um, if you have a dual voltage appliance, um, you don't need to bring a converter, and that's going to be all of your phones and your laptops and your tablets, and all those things are dual voltage. If you have a hair dryer, and that's typically the thing where an issue becomes on, or a curling iron or something like that that is not dual voltage, then you're going to need to bring a converter to convert that single voltage to dual voltage, or then you're going to have the thing that, having traveled with a lot of, between my wife and my daughter's friends on this lot, if you don't, you'll plug it in, it'll work, but that's when you get the really, really hot kind of outlets, potentially melting the cord or whatever. So, if you have those types of things that you're bringing, make sure you bring that as well. Okay, Wi-Fi. Want to make sure everybody understands this. The Wi-Fi on the yachts is Starlink. Each guest, so if there's two people in your room, you each get your own voucher for a gigabyte of free data during the cruise. And that's a lot if you're just, texting and using, email and those types of things. I went on my cruise. I was on it for a week. I was on my laptop and my phone nonstop. It was a business trip, so I was working every single day. Never went up to my gigabyte. It does specifically say that, trying to stream, be it Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, I think it lists Amazon Prime. You cannot you cannot stream those types of things in your cabin. They do have additional packages available on board for sale. I think they can sell additional gigabytes if you run out of that space, or I think they even have a streaming package if you want that. And then the last thing is gratuities. Gratuities are included. There are a lot of cruise lines on the higher end that have gratuities included. Some allow you to provide additional tips if you want. There are other lines that basically it's forbidden, and employees get in trouble if they accept a tip. Atlas is on the former, so know that all the gratuities, standard gratuity, has been paid. But if you want to give an additional gratuity, you absolutely can. And then if you were doing the Atlas excursions, the tour guide and the bus driver, some people tip, some don't. It's the standard kind of thing. Guides are about $3 or $5 per person. Bus drivers are $2 or $3. But it's difficult to say because, some excursions are brief. You may have a 30-minute bus ride to a location and then 30 minutes back, which is different than if you're on an excursion where the bus driver is driving for hours on end. For example, we did Paris and Normandy last year, and between the time the drivers picked us up and the tour guide picked us up, we got back to the ship, it was close to 14 hours. So obviously, the standard $3 to $5 may not apply, but once again, completely voluntarily. All of your gratuities have been paid, so do not feel obligated to tip anyone on board. Do not feel obligated to tip the tour guides or the bus drivers. But people always ask, If I want to give something, what should I give kind of thing. So I just wanted to share that information so you all kind of know what that is. Okay. Documents, to my understanding, are going to be emailed to you directly from Atlas. I have not heard yet they went out today, which means they'll go out tomorrow. So one of the things I mentioned in the email is I just thought I would go through the documents with everyone. Once again, you'll have this recording. We're 21 minutes in. So if you get your documents and you have any questions about your documents, you can just pull up this video and go 21 minutes into the video, and I will go through the documents page by page. But I think you're going to see they're really pretty simple. So this is page one. Your documents would have your name on it, the booking number, your stateroom number. This is just a blank one. So you can kind of see what it looks like. There's really nothing on the first page other than I would look at it and make sure my name's correct, and make sure my accommodation is correct, but that's all going to be correct. Okay, page two. This is sort of where they talk about if anything occurs, they have telephone numbers, if there's disruptions to your travel or delays or those types of things. I would say use this as a fallback. You're obviously welcome to reach out directly to Atlas if you'd like. My suggestion would be you'd call or text me first. If for some reason you couldn't get a hold of me, for example, depending on when you're trying to call, I do have, that 10-hour flight from Chicago to Athens where I will not be accessible and those types of things. So if you try me and I don't get right back with you, these are kind of fallback numbers that you can use. But once again, this is a situation where I will actually arrive in Athens. I think it's around 11 o'clock on the 8th. And that would be 11 Athens time. So starting about 3 a.m. if you're on the East Coast on the 8th, I will be there in Athens. So my suggestion would be reach out to me first. But once again, this will be in your documents. If for whatever reason you want to reach out to Atlas first, you have that information available. Travel insurance, this is included on every page. If you have travel insurance through TripMate, which means you purchase a policy through MOAA Vacations, it will list on this page that you do not have travel insurance. This is only if you purchased Atlas travel insurance. If anybody has any questions on travel insurance, you can ask me. One of the many reasons that we prefer the insurance we use for TripMate is I'm able to actually, if you have an insurance claim, file the claim for you. To the most part, basically, you let me know you need to file a claim. I fill out all the paperwork, send it to you. It's kind of like review the first page, add the doctor contact information, second page. Sign 3, sign 4, and page 5, if you're canceling for a medical reason, is an attending physician's statement, a one-page form that your doctor completes. You send that back to me. I send it into the insurance company. And then any questions you have during that whole process, you contact me, set a contact in the insurance company. It's just a huge advantage. Anytime I help somebody, they're extremely grateful. Once again, if you want to get Atlas Insurance or we also sell Allianz or any of those other things, you can. But oftentimes people get this and it will say that they have not purchased insurance and they are concerned because their invoice has insurance. You have a confirmation from TripMate. So just want to be clear here. This page only references Atlas's insurance plan. Okay. Here's the itinerary. This is on page 4. It shows the arrival time and the departure time and all the ports. As you can see, this is a very port-intensive cruise. Every day, the ship arrives at 8. Actually, most mornings, it's probably going to arrive a little earlier than that. But at 8, at 8's sort of like the latest kind of thing. And then, between 6 p.m. and midnight, depending on the port of call. So full days there. This is in your documents. So any questions on it? I mean, it's in your documents. I guess you could let me know. A couple of people have asked about this. I know we sent it out to some people who are, taking a cab or doing a pre-night hotel or whatever it is. The terminal address. I would recommend that you take the terminal address and print it out or have it on your phone or something like that. We've all had the situation where you get in a cab, the person doesn't speak English, and you're trying to explain to him where you want to go. It is so much easier if you just have a piece of paper that has this address on it, and you can hand it to your cab driver and kind of just get to, you know where this is, kind of head shake, and they head shake back that they do. Of course, you have I know Uber's there. I'm not sure about Lyft. If you ever use rideshare type programs, obviously, if you use that, then you can type that in to the Uber app or whatever. But anyway, they do provide the port location. Important thing here is embarkation begins at 3 and ends at 6. Unlike what some people may be used to with like the big ocean cruise lines, like say a Princess and Holland America, they do not have a terminal at the pier. So my advice to everyone is do not arrive at the pier until 3 p.m. By the way, that's incorrect. Embarkation does not begin at 3 a.m. It's 3 p.m. That's interesting they say that. Okay, well, I'll make sure they get that fixed before they send the documents out. Embarkation is from 3. They told me 3 to 5. So let me clarify that. I hadn't noticed that was wrong on the documents because knowing it was from 3 to 5, I just looked at that and said, okay, well, yeah, embarkation's from 3 to 5. The yacht departs at 6. That makes mistakes. So that's a typo. It's not 3 a.m., it's 3 p.m. So let me go back to what I was saying. I would not arrive before 3 p.m. to the pier. This is more of a industrial kind of area than you might be used to, like, if you're sailing out of, other ports of call, where it's more of like, there's stuff around it. If you get to the pier before 3 p.m., there's no restaurants, there's no shopping, there's no nothing. There may be a tent with folding chairs in it. There's not an inside area to wait. So if you're doing a pre-night hotel, I would suggest staying at that hotel as long as possible. In fact, if checkout's at 11, either get a late checkout or at 11 o'clock, check your bags. Check your bags and go have lunch and wander around. It is about 45 minutes to an hour from Athens to Piraeus, where the ship is boarding. So plan on that. Maybe head towards the pier around 2:30. If you are flying in that day, for example, I mentioned I'm landing at like 11. You have two options. Obviously, you're free to do whatever you want, but my suggestion would be either one, get a day rate at a hotel. We've talked to Atlas about putting together a group. If we had a group of people who wanted it, if we had more than 10 rooms, they can put together a group at a hotel, maybe get a slightly lower price, and then include a transportation from the hotel to the ship. But otherwise, you can do a day rate on your own. Or my recommendation would be, and I know on first thought this sounds like a horrible idea, but to stay at the airport. But if you think about the airport, it's inside, it's air conditioning, they have restaurants, they have shopping, they have TVs, all that. Me and my guests can get a table, we can have something to eat, I can watch the luggage, they can shop or do whatever. It's literally something I have done before when I'm even on an ocean cruise, because if you, particularly West Coast for us from Kansas City, you'll get in at like 8 a.m. and embarkation doesn't start until like 1 p.m. on an ocean cruise. And rather than spend 4 hours sitting in a cruise ship terminal, to me, it's a much better option to hang out in the airport. But obviously, you're free to whatever you want to do. I just want to make sure people are aware embarkation does not start till 3. They have no one there to check your bags, so you'll have your bags with you. So if you get to the pier, or excuse me, you get to the terminal, you're going to have your luggage. And once again, there's not restaurants or shopping or anything in that area that I think you're really going to want to hang out in. Anyway, just something to consider. Okay. And basically sorry. After that page, you have, I think it's 2 or 3 pages of kind of the passenger contract. If you've cruised before, you've seen them. They're really long, a bunch of legalese and those types of things. So really, those are the pertinent pages of the documents. Okay, some tips I have for people that I just wanted to share. The first thing is, and I found this interesting, when I went on the cruise, I mentioned it was a work cruise, so it was like an industry event. So when I cruised on Atlas, there was 25 or 26 cruise lines and tour companies on board and 50 travel agents. And it's an opportunity kind of in the industry for me to go and spend 1 week and actually talk to 25 different cruise lines and tour companies. So point being is they're either travel agents or industry professionals. And the number of people who were surprised every day when I was ordering breakfast off a menu, because it's a buffet breakfast, that I guess people don't read the programs or whatever. But anyway, so just everybody knows when you go to the buffet breakfast, you can request a menu. They will bring you the menu and you can order off of it instead of doing the buffet. Just something to keep in mind if you go to the buffet and you look and you want something else, or maybe on the first day, just ask for the menu so you kind of know what's there. Anyway, tip number one, bring sunscreen and layers. I know it's going to be warm. People are thinking they don't need layers. I've already talked about, kind of on board. A lot of times at dinner, particularly, you'll see people wanting a light jacket or a sweater or something. So keep that in mind. And of course, the thing we always say, particularly if you're going to do a lot of excursions, bring very comfortable shoes. Um, Wines and cocktails all inclusive. I think I kind of talked about this earlier about bringing stuff on. But I think this was just kind of remind people that, all your wine and cocktails are included. They have wines that they have daily, but feel free to ask for about other wines if they have other wines available. A lot of times they'll say tonight's white is this and tonight's red is this, and people think those are their only options. If they had a wine a night before or 2 nights before you really liked or something like that, or just tell the sommelier, what kind of wine you like, and they're more than welcome to help. Shore excursions, book up early. A lot of people have already booked theirs. If you have not yet, you can log in, you can do that. So just a reminder to book them early. What I have heard they're doing for our group on shore excursions is if you book a shore excursion and you want to cancel, and just for those who don't know, when you book your shore excursions, you don't pay for them. You don't pay them until you get on board the ship. So let's say I booked 3 excursions, they were $50 each. When I get on board and I look at my account, it will already show those 3 shore excursions for $50, and they'll show the $71 for the greases, brand new tax kind of thing. You have 2 days prior to the tour to cancel them and get a refund, or will not take the charge off your account. So just be aware of that when you're booking them now. If you get on board and you change your mind, at least 2 days prior to the excursion leaving, you need to let them know. Okay, 4 more tips. I know it's going long, but we got a lot to get through. Just want to make sure people know Wi-Fi is included, but it is Starlink, and it works very well when you're in port. But a lot of times people are running around during the day when you're in port, and then at night when they try to use it, it's slower. And that's 2 reasons. First off, more people are on it at that time, which slows it down. And plus, you're further away from the coast. So just kind of a recommendation. Is there something that you have that you want to download, whatever that may be, it's best to do it while you're in port. Most cruise lines do this. I suggest at some point looking through it. We do have a number of special events I'm going to get to in a second. But every evening when you get back to your cabin after dinner, there'll be a program in your room that's going to have all the events for the next day. I know I mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. Please try to attend the MOAA events, join the fun. This is a unique cruise. For those who've never been on a signature group cruise before, it is your opportunity to literally, as you walk around the ship day and night, it's like, I just say it again, it's friends you've never met before. They're all MOAA members that are on the ship. So if you see them in line at breakfast, if you see them at the lounge, wherever, if you see them at Paula's Pantry, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try to meet as many people as you can. And then the last thing, Once again, we do this on all the signature groups. It's great. When you get back from this cruise, we will set up a photo sharing site so everyone who wants to can upload all or some of their photos that they took during the trip. And what you end up with is if everybody uploads their photos, you end up with this amazing photo gallery that you can then download. So let's say, you didn't get a good picture of something. Well, maybe somebody else in the group did. So you can upload the photos you want, but then you can go back and you can say, oh, this is, you know, John took this amazing photo of whatever it is, and then you can download it for your album or whatever you have for this group. So that's kind of the tips real quick. Okay, MOAA exclusive events, we're almost done. Trust me, we have a welcome reception and a farewell reception. The welcome reception will be the first evening we get on board. And all of this will be, the exact locations and times and everything we'll have for everybody when they get on board. In addition to have the printed programs, they have screens that kind of show what's going on for the day. We'll have two theme nights, 70s disco party. We have done these on the last several Uniworld tours. They are a blast. But you should participate. I'm going to tell you, our experience is at least half the people participate. When I said disco party, Atlas came back and said, it's Greece. It's kind of, the whole kind of thing. Have you considered a white party? And I said, let's do both. So you can either do one or other or do both. But we will have both of those while we're on board. Some of you know Michael and Guy Rubino. We have done MOAA groups with them before. One is a renowned celebrity chef. The other one is a sommelier. Atlas also put a celebrity chef on board. So we have two guest chefs. So we're going to double up on everything. There'll be two cooking classes. There'll be two cooking demonstrations. And then we're going to have a guest cook-off, which everything I hear is a very fun event. The guest chefs, the celebrity chefs, for lack of a better term, are actually the judges of it. So it's your opportunity to possibly win the onboard cook-off. And something important, so when we're putting these together, the cooking classes, the cooking demonstration, the cook-off, they will be scheduled in the afternoons after the excursions end. So if you think back when we were talking about the time that we're going to be in port, we may get off at 8 and we may not sail until 8 p.m., 9 p.m., midnight, depending on what date it is. The excursion that Atlas offers are all in the morning. They all end lunchtime, mid-afternoon. So there will not be a conflict between your excursion and a cooking class. Now, some people may want to get off and do stuff on their own, which is perfectly fine. I just want people to know that if you booked excursions, you don't have to worry and go, I really want to do, the cooking class, with Guy and Michael Rubino. I'm worried that my excursion is going to conflict with it. It will not. Once again, these things are scheduled on board. So we work with their Atlas's headquarters in Florida. But once I get on board that morning, we'll confirm everything, and then you will have a schedule to get on board showing the dates, times, and locations for all of these events. And then the last thing is one evening we decide to have a little fun and do a progressive kind of tasting dinner with multiple locations. I don't want to say much more than that, other than I guess I did include a demonstration, but just to do something different one night rather than just, everybody goes into dinner and just something. We're on board 7 nights. Let's take one night and let's do something different that I'm assuming most of you have never done on a cruise before. I've only done it once before. It was on a celebrity cruise where they did something kind of similar. So we thought it would be a fun thing to do for everyone. Okay, a couple of pictures. This is from Uniworld, but this is kind of a picture of some of the outfits that we had that people wore. Some people went all out, some people did not kind of quite go as far. I can tell you that I am bringing disco ball beaded necklaces for everyone. Just to kind of add a little fun. So even if you don't bring anything, you have the opportunity to come up to the to where the DJ's playing the hits from the 70s or the disco hits or whatever, and just throw on some flashing disco ball beads and be kind of part of the fun. And that is the end of it. I have to get out of this to see if we have any questions. But so stop sharing. So I see we have some questions already. So if you have a question, if you go to the bottom of the screen, you are going to see a little conversation box that says Q&A in it. Just type your question right in there. And I'm more than happy to answer them. Okay, Q&A number one. I was wondering if the difference from 41 Porter SSP by Alice. I do not know, Kate. I do not know the $41 port fee that you're speaking of. I would ask that to your agent, but I'm going to guess that the $71 fee is separate. It's not really a port fee, although they are charging you, for every port we go to. It's that, a cruise passenger disembarkation fee that's going straight to the country of Greece. We just found out about it July 1st. So any kind of thing that was assessed prior to July 1st is not going to be this. This is a brand new thing that we are just notified about July 1st. So I'm going to go with no. Does the email? Does an email to you suffice for name and permission? Yes, absolutely. Just reply to the email and let me know. A couple of people mentioned that they wanted to make sure we had it. Either tonight, unless I run out of time, tomorrow, I'm going to reply to all of the emails that have come in to confirm to you that we have your names and your permission. I'm hoping we can get a reply from everybody early enough that I can send everyone out a list that will show their name tag name and the passenger manifest. Half the time we do this, we get on board and people want to make changes. I've moved, you have my old address. Or the most common one we go, let's say I'm in a cabin and it's me and somebody I may or may not even know, Mike is in the cabin and we only have my name and address, so Mike's not listed. So if you are the second person in a cabin and you want to be included on the list, please send us an email with the information you want to share, which would be, the three things would be your mailing address, or your email address. Sorry, two things. We used to share phone numbers and we decided to stop doing that. So anyway, my hope would be is if we get an answer from everybody and starting Monday, we're going to reach out to people and try to contact them. I would like to get that passenger manifest done and send out to everybody so people have an opportunity to make changes. Then we can give them a hard copy on board. And then once again, the passenger manifest, the first name will be the name you want on your name tag. So you can check that so we can make any changes in advance. But we've had some occasions where we've never heard back from people, so that makes it a little more difficult to do that. Answer live. Is the number available via WhatsApp? It's the only access I have. When you say, is this number available? Lynn, I don't know what number you're talking about. My guess would be it's my cell phone number, and I think the answer to that is no. I do have a WhatsApp app from being to Europe as many times as I've been. Typically, it's just so I can connect with the bus drivers and the tour guides. And I use it so infrequently, I don't even know what it is. But if you want, send me an email and say, what's your WhatsApp? And I'll look it up and send it to you. Because I will be using it on this cruise. As I mentioned, I like to have contact with everybody. And, everybody we meet on the ship, the cruise director, the tour director, the hotel people, all of them use WhatsApp. So I literally only use it when I'm on these sailings, but that's why you're looking to use it. So that'll work. Is my area code 816? We previously had 819. My area code is 816. I don't know if I typed it wrong or what, but it is 816-679-3181. Sorry about that, Mike and Patty. Besides your number is an emergency contact number for family members to call Atlas or the ship in case of an extreme emergency. Monty, that's a good one. I'm going to have to ask Atlas. I'm sure they have one. I'm wondering if we go back to that page in the documents, if that's what that was. Let me look. Got multiple screens going here. Um, on that page two of your documents where it has the telephone numbers, their Fort Lauderdale headquarters, US toll free, and the Canadian toll free, let me confirm with Atlas that if a family member has an emergency, that that's the number that they would contact. Since I don't know the answer, I will include the answer to this in the email that goes out to everyone with the copy of this recording. So I'm going to need to wait till I get an answer from Atlas. It is almost 4 o'clock there. So let's change and say everybody will have, now let's just do two emails. I don't want to wait getting the email out that people are on it. So fantastic question, Monty. I am going to ask Atlas and I will let everyone know. But feel free to share my cell number with family members as a fallback because of the time difference. I would also give them MOAA's 800 number, that 800-211-5107. Because if, I'm asleep because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, in Santorini, MOAA is probably going to be open and you can reach out to them. But let's get you what we can get you. Okay. Oh, you know what? The question on the 71, I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. We have some people who did it back to back, and so they did the Barcelona to Athens. You go to three ports on that, and that includes disembarking in Athens because it's every port you get off the ship. So if you're on that Barcelona to Athens pre-cruise, you probably have already received a notification from Atlas that there's a $15 fee that goes to Greece. And then we do have like 20 some couples, I think, that are on the follow-up cruise, which when we disembark on the 16th, continue on the ship from Athens to Dubrovnik. That one is 25, I think, because you go to five ports of call. And so you're going to have the same, passenger disembarkation fee from Greece on those sailings as well. Better to tip in euros or US dollars. I think they prefer euros. Um, I do know you cannot exchange money on board the Navigator. I always say the best place to get local currency is at an ATM. They seem to have the lowest exchange fees, much lower than if you go to like a Travelex or something like that at the airport. But yeah, as I said, it's just I guess I was saying dollars. Just the dollar and their euro are almost 1 to 1. So I probably should have said that. Bus driver is like 2 to 3 euros. The tour guides are 3 to 5 euros. And there should be ample places to get that while you're there. I certainly wouldn't give them small US bills or US coins. I don't think they have a way to do it. Um, uh, oh, which ports are tenders? It is on that itinerary. If I go back to it, I can look at it and see. Um, oh, it's not. Hmm. I will get that and send it out to everyone. I thought it showed on the day-to-day itinerary, but they sent it to me at one point when I asked for it. I apologize about that. I will get that from Atlas and I will send that out to everyone. From memory, uh, four of the six ports were tenders. So they only dock at two. I'm probably most likely the bigger two, Mykonos and Santorini, but I can't be sure about that. So Greek Isles is pretty common for tendering. I think you tender four of the six. Make a note of that too. I'll get that to everybody as well. We got a transfer from the airport to TUP. Will they plan timing to get us to the port close to 3 p.m.? If you got the transfer from Atlas, yes, I will double check that. If you have that, I'll double check that. But it would make no sense for them to get you there earlier than that. So I assume when you get your information on a transfer, they'll basically say, we'll pick you up at the airport at 2 or sometime like that. Atlas said they would send confirmations of excursions booked. Okay. Maybe, get more notes. And Liz, I'll find out and have Steve get back in touch with you. Can you post the Atlas portal for instructions? Um, I'll be honest, I don't know how to do that, what the URL is. We sent everybody that an email. Um, I don't have a name, so I don't know who to send it to. So if you send me or your agent an email, mine is John, Jon, at moavac.com. You should have the email address for your cruise consultant. Just drop one of us an email and we will reply to the email with that URL you go to do your excursions. You will need a code. I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's like a portfolio code or something like that that was sent out to everyone. So when you ask, if you don't ask me directly, if you ask your agent, ask them for the URL and ask them to make sure they send you that code you'll need as well. If you'll just need that code as well. I don't know a way to say it. What is a white party? Dress in white? Yeah, a white party is as simple as it says. Um, I've only been to one or two, and to me, a disco party is more fun because you're dressing up. But Atlas was saying, they often have large groups that want to do them. Just everybody wears all white. Um, I'll wear all white because why not? It just sounds like a fun thing to do. But yeah, mostly it would be women in like white sundresses or white slacks, white tops. Men do the same or some kind of white-ish outfit. Um, so yeah, that's be a white party. In-room fridge? Not in standard staterooms. I am unfamiliar with if they're in suites or not. Once again, I would reach out to your cruise consultant and ask them. For those who've been with us for a while, as I often say, I'm not, nor have I ever been a travel agent. So those kind of specific questions are better served being asked to your agent. They should have all that information. So I'd reach out to my agent and ask them if the stateroom if my suite has an in-room fridge. I've sailed on them. When I sailed, I was not in a suite and I did not have an in-room fridge. So there you go. And I sailed on this ship. Are irons provided in the staterooms? That's an easy one. No, nobody puts irons in staterooms. It's a fire hazard. So there will not be irons in the staterooms since they don't have a laundry room. Um, I would have to ask if they have irons or not. I don't know if this is the same anonymous person asking all the questions or multiple anonymous people. But once again, if you reach out to your cruise consultant and ask them the questions, or if you want to send an email to me, if you send an email to me, I'm just going to go to your cruise consultant and ask them, but then I can make sure you get answered in a timely manner. Do you recommend buying euros in advance or wait until Athens? Um, it depends on how many you think you're going to need. Um, you know, uh, People ask a lot of times about when you're shopping. Most places take credit cards, but if you go to like, I don't know, what would they call them, like a flea market kind of thing or something like that. More of them now than 5 years ago even used to, but you may want some for that. But just for the tipping on board, I know some banks do it. You have to go days or if not weeks in advance. I think maybe larger banks and larger cities are probably better off than here in Overland Park. But as I said, you can go to an ATM, and just throw in your card in and get out 20 euros, and that should kind of last you most of the cruise, depending on how many excursions you're taking. Um, but that's what I do. If you're asking for my recommendation, is I just, when I get there, go to an ATM and grab 20 euros or whatever. Just to have, actually, I probably have euros from my last trip I'll take with me as well. Transportation from Terry. Transportation from airport to ship for same day arrivals. Um, I'm trying to guess what you're saying here. If you're asking how to do that, you can either purchase a transfer from Atlas. It's the same page you go to do shore excursions. They have transfers from the airport to the ship, and then at the end of the cruise from the ship back to the airport. So you can purchase them from Atlas, or you can just grab a cab or do a ride share. I guess those are your three options to get from the airport to the ship. What is the process for those on a follow-up cruise to Dubrovnik? Uh, you just stay on board. So when you get on board in Athens, you'll board the ship. I think everyone but one person is in the same cabin on both sailings. So you'll just ignore the information about disembarking on the 16th and just stay in your stateroom. And then you just continue on the cruise. They will at some point have a muster drill. We can confirm when you get on board. As I said, I'll be on board. I'm planning on trying to put together just like a meet and greet at some point. So all the people that are staying on to go on, because we have 40 people, I think, something like that, a nice sized group of people that are doing the back to back. So I'd like to get those 40 people together so you kind of know, so when you get on board, you kind of know and you can kind of maybe start figuring out if you want to dine with these people on the next cruise and stuff like that. Because obviously on our cruise, you can go to dinner and whoever you sit with is a MOAA member. On the next sailing, there's 180 people, so 40 of them are going to be MOAA. So about a fourth of the ship, 20% of the ship or whatever. But I still think it would be nice to have some kind of meetup on board. I'll set something up. Some people will show, maybe not everybody, but anyway. But yeah, so if you're on the back to back, you just stay on the ship, and you shouldn't have to do the muster drill on back to back sailings, but you never know what the rules are going to be on the ship. And muster drills these days are much shorter and much more convenient to do. We go back to chapter, but then no, Dan. It's a per day, per fee kind of thing. So it's a great question. The question for those who aren't reading along is if I get off let's pick Mykonos because it's 20 euros. If I get off the ship in Mykonos, come back to the ship and I want to get off again, do I have to pay it again? What Greece did to make it easy for cruise lines, which I think is just easier for them to collect money, is when the ship docks, the ship pays for everyone that's on board. And so it's not like when you get off the ship, someone from Greece is there collecting the fee when you get off. They made it as easy as possible for the country to collect the fees. So when the ship docks, the ship pays for everybody on board. So you can get on and off as often as you like because you've been paid for once that day. Shorts are perfectly fine for men. It is going to be warm weather for everyone. Flip-flops, whatever you want to wear during the day that you're comfortable in. We do that for all the signature groups. I remember we did Mississippi River once, and people had a notice in their cabin that said, open-toed shoes are not allowed for men or women. And I got on board, and when we get on board, I'll greet everybody on board, and then when we have the welcome reception, I will talk at the welcome reception and kind of go over whatever I think is pertinent. But I can tell you, before I had to talk on that Mississippi River cruise, I had to have 12, 14 people ask me about open-toed shoes because no open-toed shoes for women is ridiculous, let alone during a warm weather kind of cruise. And I just told him not to worry about it. So I'll make that executive decision right here and now. You can wear whatever you'd like. If it's a long, hot day and you want to wear shorts to dinner, I can tell you what was it we did. I think I did Paris and Normandy last year. And some people asked, it's like, can we wear shorts to dinner? Look, the people on the ship are going to be your fellow MOA members. You won't hear anything from me. You won't hear anything from the ship. Will some of your fellow servicemen maybe give you a hard time? You probably know that better than I do. But this is your vacation. Wear whatever you would like to make you comfortable. I wouldn't wear nylon shorts, but there's dress shorts that look nice. So, yeah, see, wear whatever you'd like. Um, there are not currency exchange facilities on board. I thought I mentioned that earlier. Apologize if I didn't. So no, they do not have currency on board they can exchange for you. The ship. Yeah, somebody's asking about the plugins. I had a slide for this. If I could go backwards, I'd do it. But they have both. So they have the 110 US, they have the 220 Type C European, and then they have at least one USB port. So two American, two European, and one or two USBs. If you're in a suite, there might be more than that, but the standard cabins, that's what you're looking at. So if you can get by with two US plugs and one USB, you're fine. The other thing you can do is bring one of those plugs that you plug in and then you can plug multiple things into it. I think is sometimes easier than bringing an adapter. But you should have two US, two European, and at least one USB in every stateroom. So yeah, unless you have a lot, you should be fine. And as I said, when I went, granted, I was in a solo room on that business trip, but I had my phone and my laptop, so I had all the plugs that I needed. Um, is it best to bring euro or US dollars? Here's the problem you have with US dollars. People will accept it, but it is going to be the absolute worst exchange rate you get. If you're at a flea market and they tell you it's 10 euros, and that I think euros are slightly more right now because it's like 105 to 1. So 10 euros is going to be 1075 US, 1050 US, whatever it is. If you give them a 20, you're probably not going to get $9 back. It's just kind of the way that works is if you're at a shop and paying in US currency and you're having some, vendor make the exchange for you, then you'd be better off, going to a Travel X and and changing funds, which is why I recommend there's ATMs. And I'm going to tell you, if you go to a shop and you're looking to buy something and they don't want to take a credit card, they're going to know where the nearest ATM is because they're there to make money and they don't want people to not buy their wares because they don't have euros. So they will be able to point you in that direction. And if you're on an excursion, then you have the guide on the excursion bus who can provide that information as well. Oh, yeah, okay. So Bruce and Cindy ask about the process to getting to the ship for the people that are on. I mentioned Guy and Michael Rubino do these villa vacation stays for MOA members. Um, Bruce and Cindy, the Rubinos, are going to be on the ship, which we thought was great news. We could get them on board. They know that the boarding process does not start until 3. And so they're going to get you to the ship in that window. So if you're with the Rubinos, they'll get you there at the time when embarkation has already started. And then I don't know what they're going to do with the two vans they have, but then they're going to board at some point as well. If we're not able to secure transportation from the ship to the airport on Saturday, is there someone on the ship that could coordinate that for us? I don't know. They'll have a tour director. My feeling would be they'd probably default to the fact that they have a transfer. So I can't remember what it was. I didn't think it was unreasonable, $30 or something like that. maybe 27. Apologize, I'm doing that off the top of my head. But yeah, if you need to transfer from the ship to the airport, absolutely, you can purchase that transfer and go on the Atlas transfer. If you're talking about um, like rideshare, I think you can set that up, through the rideshare. As far as cabs, I can't imagine there will not be some cabs there when the ship docks because cabs are looking for rides and they know when the ship docks at 8 a.m. that there's going to be 180 people getting off that ship and it's an opportunity to get business. But Bill, when we get on board, if you'd like, I'm more than happy to talk. You can talk to me and I'll talk to the tour desk, or you and I can talk to the tour desk together. But we will get you to the airport. No, I'm sorry. I talked about ITIS. It's not going to go into effect now until fourth quarter of 2026 at the soonest, and that's for all of Europe. That's just not for Greece. So I think last year I said it was going to go into effect. This year, I think it was supposed to go in the first of the year. I swear they've delayed it at least 3 or 4 times. But it's basically what it is now. What they're saying today is it's going to start fourth quarter of 2026. So it's not starting until then. Uh, Daniel, you know what? I'm gonna send that out to everybody again because you're the second person who asked. We sent out an email to everyone as soon as the excursions became available. There's a code that you need that we sent to everybody. We can send that to you again. If you don't have it, just ask for it. But basically, you just go to a site that shows everything is available every day to book your excursions. So I'm going to make a note to include excursions in the email we send out, which is going to have the link to this video. Scott, I will ask about hair dryers. I honestly don't know. I should have known that would be a question. Uh, so anyway, I'm going to ask about hair dryers and I'll include that in the email as well. That seems to be a fairly simple one. Email address for your preferred name tag. A couple of emails have been sent out. If you have not gotten those, please let me know. Because everyone on this cruise should be in a group. We've sent out a number of emails over the last few months. We had one that went out July 3rd was from mail at moavac.com, MAIL at MOAAVAC.com. The one that went out this morning was from John at MOAVAC. Sent it from a different email address since it was from me personally instead of the company. But you can send it to either one of those. Probably easier to send it to mine. So John, JON at MOA, and then short for vacations, Victor Alpha Charlie. So John at moavac.com. You can send it to me. Thank you. Having difficulty signing up on the Atlas site, asking for loyalty number. Okay, loyalty number, that's what they call it. That's the code number that you need to sign up. So, Terry, everybody has a different loyalty number. So I can't tell you what that number is. Please just drop a quick email or call your cruise consultant and they can just tell it to you over the phone. Actually, you know what? Probably the best person to do is call or email Mike. So Mike at Moavac or 800-211-5107 and ask Mike for your loyalty number and he can give it to you. Is the only way to call Atlas. I'm going to check on that, Connie. I mentioned already, I'm going to send out an email this evening that is going to have the link to sign up for excursions again. So I'll just include a little paragraph on excursions for everyone to know. I do not know the answer to that question. June. It is $71 per person. If you rewatch this webinar, I went through, but it is a per port charge. So Mykonos and Santorini are 20 euros each, I think. I can't remember what I said in the webinar. Sorry. Just went through a lot of information. Uh, yeah, Santorini and Mykonos are 20 euros each, and then every other port we go to is 5 euros. It actually, if you add it up, comes to 65 euros. Converting that to US dollars is $71. So it is $71 for every port of call. So it's and I just wanted to touch on that, but you will get an email from Atlas explaining everything I kind of went through. But yeah, there'll be $71 on your onboard charge. So I'm not sure what else to say about that. Joseph, the transfers on Atlas from the airport to the ship is going to be a group transfer. So they will have, knowing that embarkation starts at 3, they will have something along the lines of, we're meeting at such and such place, Terminal 1. Someone will be inside, and then when everybody's there, they walk you out to the bus. So the standard cruise line group transfers. So no, it would be everybody who's taking that transfer will be on the same bus. Kate, final documents. Well, I went through a sample document. We'd hoped that they would have been sent today. I was told if they weren't sent today, they'd be sent tomorrow. So you should get an email from Atlas with your documents. Will breakfast be served the morning of August 16th? They will have something. I'm not sure it'll be the full breakfast. For example, I'm not sure you'll be able to order off a menu, but they typically will have something available that morning. So it'll probably be the buffet, and then of course Paula's Pantry has the coffees and the rolls and all of that that will be available. They will know more about that on board. You always worry that there might be some kind of change to the itinerary while you're sailing. I can't imagine anything that would affect our itinerary in August in the Greek Isles, but they will have something, but don't expect it to be the same level of breakfast they have all the other days. George, there are not printed documents that you need to bring with you. They're just e-documents. Once again, I'll be on board, so I can guarantee if you get to the port, I will get you on board unless you forget your passport. And I guess I should probably highlight that because we just recently had a MOAA member who showed up for a cruise and didn't have their passport. That would be an issue that I probably wouldn't be able to get resolved. But here's the thing, you should enter your passport information in the pre-registration process. And when you do that, you put in your passport information. It will flag it if there's a problem with your passport. And of course, the only real problem that comes up is your passport needs to be valid for 6 months after your arrival in Greece. And that is not an Atlas thing. That's just a universal thing when you're traveling abroad. They don't want your passport to expire like a month or two after you get to that country. So if we're sailing in August, your passport has to not expire until like March of 2026. But no, there's nothing printed you need. Alice says luggage tags will be sent 30 days prior to departure. You have not received them yet. They have been sent. And they actually mailed them to people. It is one flat envelope. They ask everybody to put those on your luggage. So when you get to the ship, you have the luggage tag already on your luggage, and then they know what stateroom it goes to. I would say give it to mid next week. I don't know where you live, Liz, off the top of my head. I can tell you mail is ridiculously slow in Kansas City. I'm like saying over a week to mail a letter from Kansas City to Miami. So they're all coming from Fort Lauderdale. But if you don't have it by, if it mailed yesterday or Tuesday, they have been mailed. I have confirmed that they've been mailed. So if you don't have it by the end of next week, give us a call. We'll see if we can't track it down. I can tell you that they do not want 180 people showing up without name tags or luggage tags, rather. But if you show up at the pier without luggage tags on your luggage. Let's say you forget or they get torn off in transit or whatever the case may be. Your luggage will get on the ship. They'll have people out there that can handwrite them and stuff like that. They just don't want to slow the process down by having to have to handwrite 180 luggage tags. So it's sort of like people ask, do I need to print out my confirmation and bring it with me? You do not. When you come on board, they'll have your information. A lot of people like to print it out and have hard copies. I do. I don't print the whole thing out. I don't need the passenger contract. But once again, I'm coming in early, so I'll print off like the pages. I think it's two, three, and four. The first page is just my information. Print off the first four pages. It's two-sided. Anyway, you print it off because I want that page that has the port address because I will be taking a cab from Athens to my mind just went blank. Piraeus, the morning of embarkation. Okay. Okay, I just answered the one about luggage tags. Um, I don't know. Michael asked about a Zoom call for the villa. I will ask the Rubinos. They had not mentioned anything to me, but we should do one. I like the plan. Let me see if they're available to do one. And then that will be something completely separate for the people that are on the villa group. No, okay. This is a good point. So, Kate, thanks for saying it. Since we have the whole ship, uh, we've heard this before, and we hope people contact us. But if you contact Atlas on this sailing, the reservation people do not really have the information. We basically told them to stop answering questions because we had people calling Atlas and asking questions, and they were answering as if it was a normal sailing. And this is not a normal saying. This is a MOAA signature group. So yeah, if you call MOAA and start asking a bunch of questions on the Athens to Athens sailing. Now, if you're on the pre-cruise, which is Barcelona to Athens, or the post-cruise, which is Athens to Dubrovnik, those are not MOAA groups, so those questions can go to Atlas. But questions on this cruise should come to us. Excellent point, Kate. Okay. Wow, still coming in. Did Atlas do the hotel package? Would be interested in that information. Karine, I'm not sure what you're asking exactly. I think at one point we were talking to them about doing a 1 or 2 night pre-hotel package. We did not end up doing that, if that's what you're referencing, because the hotel packages they were putting together did not include transportation from the airport to the hotel, which is what we were looking for. So they were basically just holding a hotel. And we thought, just be completely honest here, the price that they had for the hotel and the transfer, and this is per Mike, once again, he's in charge of all the cruise consultants and everything and knows a lot more than I do. But he thought that the price they had for that package was almost double what we could do. So rather than charging, I think it was $450 a person, whatever it was expensive. Anyway, rather than offering a package that we felt was overpriced, so you'd end up having to get your own transportation to the hotel. You'd have 1 night or 2 nights at the hotel, and then you'd be transferred in mass from the hotel to the ship. Was price prohibitive. So I think most everybody Mike talked to basically was just advised to get a hotel on your own. The only thing we've talked about potentially doing is if there's enough people that want a day rate. It's the Athenian Hotel where we're putting together a package. If we had 10 or more people who wanted to do it, we could do a group. And so you would get your own transportation to the hotel again. You would just have a day rate, which is from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., I think, at the hotel. And then there would be a group transportation. If we did a group, if we didn't do a group, we should be able to do individual day rate hotels. Day rates are not inexpensive, to say the least. I'm pulling this up right now. Um, so a day rate at the Hotel Athenian would be 199 for a single, and 221 for a double. That would allow you to check in at any time after 6 a.m. and stay till 4 p.m. in that room for the day. That's the Hotel Athenian. What we were talking about doing, if we had more than 10 couples who wanted to do it or 10 rooms who wanted to do it, we could try setting up a group. I would assume the prices would be close to the same, if not slightly more, but it would include the transfer from the hotel to the ship. Yes, I have a number of questions I need to get answered, but the email will go out tonight with a replay with a link to watch this video again. Atlas code is a loyalty ID. Thank you. I think Mike must have posted that before somebody said it, and I couldn't remember the term for the code. Yeah, so loyalty ID. Hair dryer on board asked. We're going to find that out and let everybody know. What credit card is most common? American Express, although I'm going to say American Express, will not be an issue on board the ship. I think on the ship it's American Express, Visa, and MasterCard for sure. Not sure about Discover. There are places that you will go in Europe where they do not want to take American Express. So on board, it's not an issue, but you may be out and about and you may find something you want to buy, and they will tell you we do not take American Express. I think that's because American Express charges higher fees. I have no way of saying what's the most common. I just know I see it in the excursion paperwork. Ooh, Corrine, tell me what you see in the excursion paperwork. I don't remember what the question was. Transportation to Hotel Electro Metropolis to the ship. Cab or rideshare. I mean, those are your only two options. So, if that's not what you're asking, I'm not sure what it is, but that would be the two options you have. Yeah, during the day, I would be surprised if everyone isn't wearing shorts. It's warm in the Med in the summer. And so when you say during the islands tours, absolutely. I would not recommend wearing long pants or a long sleeve t-shirt unless it is raining or something like that. But yeah, once again, as far as attire, whatever you're comfortable in, you should wear. I mean, they kind of want, kind of slacks and a polo shirt at dinner. But I did Paris and Normandy back-to-back cruises, and there were people who were wearing shorts, in golf shirts or whatever to dinner, and nobody blinked an eye. I mean, you're on vacation. Wear what you want to wear. Yeah, okay. Mike Terrell hopped in. Hi, Mike. Mike said that Atlas is sending the e-docs right now. So as soon as you're done with this, you should check your email for your e-docs. And he also said all of the excursions you have booked are in the e-docs. Good, then that we don't have a separate thing we need to answer tomorrow. Uh, do most businesses will visit take credit cards? Yeah, once again, Dan, it's 5, 10 years ago. There was a lot of, I tried to speak to this, like little flea markets and those kind of like local kind of things. If you're kind of off the beaten track, you might run into anything that has a shop that has like a door you go into. I've been to Athens a couple of times in the last couple of years. I can't think of a single place that didn't take credit cards. But if you go to like a whatever a farmer's market, when you want to get some kind of fruit or something like that, and it's a little stand, you might find something like that, or a flea market where they're selling hats and t-shirts and that kind of stuff. Those are the type of places that may not take credit cards, but I'm going to tell you more and more of them take them now than ever before. Oh, documents just arrived. $1 is only 0.86 euro. Okay. Somebody recommended for rideshare that you download the app Bolt. Thank you for that. Never used them before. Oh, hair dryers are included in the room. Mike must not have heard that question. Otherwise, he would have perked up. All right. Somebody just said England has fully implemented EDIS even for flights through England, UK. Mike, if you're still on here, can you check that and let me know? What I hear is it's been delayed till fall of 2026. We'll have to check on that. If that is correct, we'll let everyone know. Yes, my email address is john@moavac.com. Perfect. Travel docs just arrived. Travel docs just arrived. How far behind am I? 3:14. I'm still 10 minutes behind. Ron, when you're saying the medical form, if there is a medical condition, a CPAP machine or something like that, they have a medical form. Uh, uh, I don't know. Once again, I'll have to ask Mike that. Uh, on the pre-cruise, I think there's only two, there may be only one couple going on the pre-cruise. Um, but it's not like the post. Well, we started out selling the post and it sold out, and then we offered the pre, and I think at one point we had two couples and one canceled, but I am unaware. Uh, David, can you do this, David? Can you reach out to your cruise consultant and ask them? I'm going to end up with so much information to send in the email tonight. I think it's going to be overwhelming for everyone. Um, so if you're on it, you may be the only person on it, but Mike can tell you that information. There's Steve, hairdryer in every room. Corrine, if they are available online, they're available. So I apologize. I thought somebody booked off the purchase one or two night transfer. Okay. So the onboard credit amount is $200 per person. I think disembarkation starts at 8 a.m. with the number of passengers we have. I can't imagine it will take an hour for disembarkation. So I would say disembarkation will be from 8 to 9. It's always difficult to say. In all the cruises I've been on a couple of them where there was a holdup with immigration getting off the ship. The first one was because of an accident on board. The second one was because I think it was actually a U.S. Caribbean cruise where it was like docking in Miami and there were Canadian citizens who had not checked in. So we were delaying it until they had the Canadians check in because they needed to check it with immigration before they clear the ship. But assuming there are no issues with immigration, disembarkation is scheduled to start at 8 a.m. This isn't a ship that has thousands of people getting off. So if it starts at 8, it will should be done between 9, 9:30, something like that, I would imagine. Mike, Estes is required for UK, but not for Greece. Okay. Then we need to send that out to everybody so they can enroll. It's like if you're under the age of 70, it is €7 for a 3 year. Yep, Steve said the same thing. Implemented in January. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you, everyone. That was a lot of questions. I think I just set a new record. So I've got a lot of notes. So we're going to do this video. A lot of this information I think is valuable to everyone. So I'm going to share it with everyone. And if there's something that is not answered in the email or not answered in the webinar, just give us a call. Our agents are here every single day to answer those questions for you. That being said, I look forward to seeing everybody in Athens. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the questions, and we'll see everyone soon. Have a great remainder of your day. Bye.